If you've heard it, so have we.
If you hate it, we probably do too.
If you like it, we'll see.
But either way, we've heard it all.
Hi.
Hey girl, how's it going?
You know what? We're actually doing pretty good.
You know what? I was doing bad last night.
Mm-hmm.
Have been having some trouble sleeping, but after watching some reality TV, I feel more grounded. I feel like actually my problem's not that bad.
Right?
Not
And
that
this
bad.
is why I will never tolerate reality TV slander because it gives you perspective, gives you a great
Mhm.
perspective. You see
Yeah.
people's lives, you see the choices they're making, the
Mhm.
situations they find themselves in,
Yep.
and you are just happy as a little pig in the mud that that is not you.
No, sometimes I really need to remember that I make a lot of stupid choices in my life,
hmm
but at least like the circle of who is affected is usually just me.
Yeah,
But these are people who are doing these manipulative, conniving things that are affecting everyone around them. So at least I have the grace to not do that.
you do.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty and grace and poise, some would say.
Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes I do it without even leaving my bed.
Oh my God, skill.
Crazy. But we have a lot to talk about today.
We do. So, just to
Yeah.
give a little teaser, little agenda for the day, we are first going to be talking about the rise and fall of a fallen pop star, Miss Katy Perry.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and from that, we're going to pivot and talk about the blue origin flight of our brave women astronauts that just came back after their torturous journey, 11 minutes round trip.
Into
Such a
space.
brave heroes, brave heroes. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna we're gonna talk about that. Um, and then to finish it up, season 2 of The Valley premiered.
So exciting.
So
That's the reality TV I was referencing.
yeah, so we're gonna break that down, talk about moments, just shoot the shit, see what happens.
Yeah, we have not talked about our thoughts about the first episode yet, so y'all are getting this live.
Fresh, raw reactions.
Exactly. But first, we have to talk about the once beloved Katherine Hudson, Miss Katy Perry.
hmm hmm
Okay, so my background is I used to be a big Katy cat. I was a
hmm
huge Katy Perry fan. I remember seeing Katy Perry Part of Me, her little biopic concert movie in theaters in 3D with
Yeah.
my friend Tiffany. Um, I was obsessed because I think that she really bridged this intersection of like Yoo-hoo boys winky like sexuality, but
hmm
also kind of campy, funny humor, and I was really into that as a little
Yeah.
tween. One of the Boys and Teenage Dream are still some of my favorite pop albums. They're really, really good.
hmm
Um, but we'll delve more into it. But recently, I just cannot believe how much of a nosedive she's taken in her career.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
where it's just like every move she makes, I'm like, no one thought this was a bad idea.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy is like how on top of the chart she was from like what, 20, I was gonna say 2010, but before that, because I
Mm,
was in middle school when like Hot and Cold came out,
yeah.
which was like huge. And
Mm-hmm.
then you had I Kissed a Girl, which I think that was probably the turning point of like
Oh, for sure.
catapulting her to stardom just because of how
Mm-hmm.
controversial it was at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in like carpool situations in middle school, obviously growing up in the Bible Belt, but as soon as that song came on, the radio was turned. But when I went home, triple platinum.
That song is so good. It's amazing.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. But
So, because I watched this movie, I actually know a weird amount of information about Katy Perry.
I love that. Okay, because I've seen it too, but I don't recall any of it except for the Russell Brand of it all.
Mm.
Which I think that's probably a good thing to tie in here as well later in the
Oh, for sure.
conversation.
For sure. Yeah, I'll give a brief overview. I'm not going to know specific dates because it may be important, but also not really.
Mm-mm.
So, Katy Perry, born Katherine Hudson, is born to evangelical Christians. I'm pretty sure they're evangelical, but they're very religious, very Christian. And like she gets into music and she puts out a first album as Katherine Hudson, which is her Christian name. And it's a contemporary Christian album. because she grew up in the church. Like, she talked about how, like, they didn't even have Lucky Charms because they were of the devil. They couldn't have deviled
Mm-hmm.
eggs. It was of the devil. Like, they were, like, fundamentally Christian. And it wasn't until, like, she was exposed to artists like Queen, Freddie Mercury, Alanis Morissette, that she was like, wait, I kind of want to make secular music.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, like, weird. So I'm pretty sure she's from California, but she goes to LA to pursue this music career, signs with a label, creates this album. It's shelved. She's kind of in, like, demo hell for a little
Mm-hmm.
bit until this one executive, I think, takes a chance on her, as is always the story. And she starts working with different producers. I think that's where she starts working with Dr. Luke, which is a very important creative collaboration in her career that will turn sour for her later on.
Mm-hmm.
But she starts to kind of go into this, like, pop rock Betty Boop-esque vibe, and this is where we get songs like You're So Gay, Mannequin, and then we get the famous hit I Kissed a Girl.
Yep.
This catapults her to fame, as we've said, because it's saucy, it's a little taboo, gay marriage is not legalized yet, but she's talking about I Kissed a Girl, I liked it, oh my gosh, it's a little bad, but it's a little good. Fun fact about I Kissed a Girl, this will come into play later, is that you know what pop star makes a cameo in that video?
Who? I don't remember.
Kesha.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
Kesha and
right.
her go way back. So that's just something to hold on to for a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she kind of sees a lot of popularity with One of the Boys, which is her first, like, popular record, because she did have that Christian one. But you get hits like Hot and Cold, I Kissed a Girl, Waking Up in Vegas. Oh man, there's so many hits.
So fun. Oh my
It's like,
God.
truly, it's a no skip album. Thinking of You is an incredible
Yeah.
ballad, and, like, I'm thinking about how, like, a lot of her original start was very singer songwriter,
Mm-hmm.
because she talked about, like, influences like Fountains of Wayne, because she did, like, an MTV Unplugged performance where she does this beautiful cover of Hackensack
Mm-hmm.
by the Fountains of Wayne. Fountain of Wayne's. I can't
I don't
remember the
know.
band name, but rest in peace, Adam Schlesinger. But they did Stacy's Mom, for your reference.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see you were
Did you
like,
see
who
the
are you?
blank face? Yeah.
Yes. And it's so funny because that record that Stacy's Mom is on was one of the first CDs I ever bought, because it's actually
So
amazing.
fun.
It's really
Yeah.
good. Anyways, so she kind of starts this, and then truly her next album is where she takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage Dream. I'm pretty sure this comes out in 2010. It produces hits, and I'm talking number one hits like Teenage Dream, Last Friday Night, California Girls. I think E.T. goes to number one, and there's a fifth one, because I remember the only two records that have 5 number ones from the same album are Teenage Dream by Katy Perry and Thriller by Michael Jackson, which is
Okay.
insane company to
Wild.
be in. No, Katy
Yeah.
Perry was very successful. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think what the other song is. Maybe the one that got away?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll put it in the show notes if I'm wrong. But then she kind of ramps up her sort of, like, campy image. Now she's, like, becoming, like, she's wearing, like, the peppermint, like, dress that, like, has, like, the peppermint swirly wheels
Yeah.
on her breasts, and doing cotton candy fantasies. And it's truly, like, I think, honestly, like, Teenage Dream feels very 4-quadrant appeal, because some of the
Mm-hmm.
sexual innuendos are really buried and layered. And, like, a lot of her stuff, like, a lot of her vibe felt like it could have fit in a Victoria's Secret or a Limited too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was obsessed. I was like, Katy Perry, I love you. During this era is also when she has her first marriage, well, I guess her only marriage at this point, to Russell Brand. They meet, I don't know, somehow, somewhere. They're married for not too long, but basically he divorces her over text message, and this was something that was in the movie. It was such a big deal because you know, like, those lovely, like, snippets of pop stars going through these intense personal moments, and then they just have to get on stage.
They switch. Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, scary.
Yeah.
Scary, but also that is the job, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, Teenage Dream is this huge success. She follows it up with Prism. Prism is a good pop record, but nothing close to Teenage Dream. I think she's still having the same sort of like success because you get hits like Roar, and
Hmm.
there's this really good like house music song called Walking on Air. There's something else. She does this weird she did do a little cultural appropriation on This Is How We Do, because in the music video I'm pretty sure she's wearing like cornrows and like has her baby hair slicked down. So this is where I'm like,
Wait, is
okay,
that one, or is that Swish Swish?
we're not even at that album
Oh, we're
yet.
not even there yet.
We're not
Okay.
even there yet. Hold your horses, okay? Pull back. And then also like Birthdays on that album. So like some hits, but not like a
Yeah.
crazy ton. But this is kind of following her divorce and like kind of
Hmm.
rising from the ashes. She also does a promotional single for the Olympics that are in Brazil called, I think, Rise. So Katy Perry is
Mm.
still like a big name. She is also someone that is trying to like immerse herself into political circles, which will come into play with her next album. She's singing at the DNC. She's supporting Hillary Clinton. And this is a big deal because I feel like she really tried to like gain a sort of respect within political circles by aligning
Yeah.
herself with Hillary Clinton. She was very, I'm with her. But then Donald Trump is elected president in 2016. And I truly do think that Donald Trump getting elected to be president was the downfall for Katy Perry, because I don't think
Hmm.
she knew how to pivot in dark times.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think she functions best when the world is also ready for happiness, and she didn't really know how to pivot. So, the first element of her downfall came by the biggest image change of her career. Katy Perry, throughout her career, always known, even though she's a natural blonde, for her long, black, luscious hair.
Hmm.
Sometimes done in like old Hollywood glamour curls, but long and black. She cuts this all off to look like an Ellen DeGenerate clone, gets a pixie cut, dyes it blonde, and she's just like, I want to make, quote, purposeful pop. This comes with her
Hmm.
next album called Witness. Craziest album cover, weirdest concept. It starts with this single called Chained to the Rhythm. And I remember when this
Okay,
came out,
actually, I love that song. I think it's
I
so
think,
fun.
and here's my thing, there are catchy songs on Witness, because I would argue Chained to the Rhythm and Swish Swish, catchy,
Yeah.
catchy
Yeah.
songs. So Chained to the Rhythm comes out, and it's a catchy song, but it's also not really saying anything. But I
No.
remember she performed at some awards show, I think it was the Brits, where she had brought out these like skeleton, like big cartoonish puppets of like
Hmm.
Donald Trump and, oh my god, I'm forgetting the name of, she was the British Prime Minister at the time who was,
Oh, yeah. Shoot.
you know who I can see her
I know you're
face.
talking about.
But I'm like, it's truly, I'm having a brain fart, because at the time everyone was saying she's so far right because they didn't know Boris Johnson was coming.
They did
Okay,
not know.
exactly. Um, but she was kind of critiquing the sort of like rightward movement of like these Western
Hmm.
countries, and I think she was really trying to like meet the moment, but it was always falling flat because I don't think she fully had the language to describe how this was happening and why
Yeah.
this was happening. Because also, again, like I said, like she was previously a person who had four quadrant appeal,
Hmm.
and like that also includes both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Um, and so it wasn't sort of like in a Taylor Swift pre coming out as a Democrat wanting to
Yeah.
like retain like the conservative fan base, but I don't think she knew how to talk to a specifically liberal fan base
Right.
either.
Right.
Anyways, this comes out, the album does not do well. The craziest part of this entire album, which I it will go down as one of the craziest album promotion campaigns ever, is that she decided, in order to like get real with people, she was going to do a 7-day, 24-hour live stream of her life. I'm talking like there are videos of this woman just eating cereal by herself.
I
You
don't
know,
remember this.
oh, I do, because I kept tuning in to see what she was up to. And like she would be sleeping and the video would still be on. And it was like she had like certain activities that she had like scheduled throughout. So I think I'm pretty sure like she had like a makeup tutorial with Patrick Starr. She had
Mm-hmm.
like a roundtable conversation with some of her famous friends. She also filmed herself having a therapy session where during it she was like, I'm really tired of being Katy Perry. Like, I want to be Catherine again, which I
Okay.
know we've kind of talked about in context of like Chapel Roan and like the
Mm-hmm.
separation of like the persona versus the person.
Yeah.
But it felt just so weird. Like, all of it felt like performance, which it is, but it didn't feel like it was, again, saying anything. Like, I don't think I got to know
Yeah.
Katy Perry better as a person
Right.
by watching this. It just felt like she was like, this is what I need to do. It felt like watching Big Brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So that doesn't do well. And I think it kind of like hits her in a way. She's like, why isn't this doing well? Why am I not getting the same sort of success as I had before?
Mm-hmm.
This is also all against the background of the introduction and like the rise of streaming as the main way that people consume music, because it's just
Uh-huh.
much harder to be successful even as these like tentpole artists that we
Yeah.
all knew to be successful before the advent of streaming. And I truly think the only way that you can continue being successful is if, one, if you're like a Taylor Swift and you've garnered such a loyal fan base,
Yeah.
similar to like Lady Gaga. But then in a Lady Gaga sense, you come out with like music that is like interesting, diverse, and also still
Mm-hmm.
creating like at its core art. Because I know we're not talking about the Lady Gaga Mayhem Coachella performances, but I'm glad to see that the girlies are still performing again.
I know. Yeah.
Because,
Also, yeah, not to go on a tangent, but did you see Missy Elliott transforming literally as a
yes,
transformer?
yes,
We're not doing it like that.
yes, exactamundo, exactly. Anyways, I digress. So then pandemic happens, and I don't know, I kind of stopped following Katy Perry after Witness
Yeah.
because I just was like, you're not making anything interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of just like saying a bunch of things that you think people want to hear. Like, I feel like Katy Perry is a person that speaks in quotes. Like, she speaks in
Oh,
sound
yeah.
bites, but she doesn't actually have conversations with
Yeah.
people. Um, so at this point, I think she enters like her motherhood stage. She starts dating Orlando Bloom, which is such a random pairing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they start dating, they have an on off thing. And because of this relationship, she produces her best song since Teenage Dream, which is Never Really Over. When this song came
Yeah.
out, I
Wait,
remember,
actually, you know what? Now that you said that, that's the song I was thinking of and not Chained to the Rhythm.
yeah, Chained to the Rhythm isn't bad. It's just like whatever. It's catchy.
Okay.
No, Never Really Over is an
That's what
exceptional
I'm
pop
thinking
song.
of. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. No, this comes out and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna like Katy Perry music
We're
again.
back.
And then I don't. So she puts out Never Really Over. It comes out like a while before her next album, Smile. And in that time, she also like has a daughter, Daisy Dove Bloom, which is such a cute name, I have
That
to
is a cute
say.
name.
Like, it's weird enough that it's a unique, but it's still normal. Like, Daisy's a
Yeah.
normal name. And so she makes this album called Smile. She is still working with Dr. Luke, which we'll go
Mm-hmm.
back to the Dr. Luke thing. And the only two songs on there that were interesting to me were, again, what do you call it? Never Really Over. And then another song called Harley's in Hawaii. That song is amazing. I love it.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's very Island Gal in a non-appropriative way. It's just a fun song, and I'm glad that she made it. But again, not successful. And this is like post-pandemic, and people aren't really paying attention to Katy Perry, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. But it's just whatever. And then she does like a couple other promotional singles for like random things, but she's really just kind of doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She then does a Vegas residency called Play, which is kind of
Yeah.
like a review of all of her past work, and it's fun. It gets back to what Katy Perry is good at, which is like
Mm-hmm.
campy, cartoonish fun. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like very well reviewed, you know, people really enjoy it. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're gonna get back to Katy Perry being fun again. Then her newest album came out last year called 143.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think it could get more boring, but it does.
It does. It really does.
And before we get into 143, we have to talk about Dr. Luke.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Luke is a very famous producer. Obviously, did a lot of work with Katy Perry on Teenage Dream. He's worked with Kim
Mm-hmm.
Petras. He's worked with Doja Cat. Like, him and Max Martin are some of the most prolific like Swedish producers.
Hmm.
They have touched every great pop hit. Like they are talented, sure. I believe I want to say around 2015, 2016. We'll put it in the show notes if I'm wrong. Um, Kesha, beloved Kesha, brings forth a
Hmm.
case against Dr. Luke, saying that he had like verbally, physically, and sexually abused her during their time working together, because Kesha
Hmm.
came onto the scene with Dr. Luke and was signed to his label. I think it's pronounced Kimosabe. And basically had said that she had endured all this abuse, and it was a very public, lengthy trial that I think it ended up being settled out of court, but it
Hmm.
was a really big shakeup in the industry because Dr. Luke was
Yeah.
so well respected as a producer, and it really saw like a lot of people kind of take sides. um I'll never forget like a really interesting pop culture moment is when like it was around the time that like Taylor Swift had been like canceled after all like the Kim Kardashian stuff, and
Yeah.
I remember she had donated like I think $50,000 to Kesha like privately.
Hmm.
And Demi Lovato, who I think her and Taylor had some beef, Demi like went on Twitter and was like, be public about it, like why you have to do it on the I was like, okay, okay guys, let's calm down. But anyways, I digress. So basically a lot of people were kind of like, we're boycotting Dr. Luke because like we don't want to
Yeah.
support this person that hurts women,
Right.
and is going to slander this woman and like hold this woman under gag order, which is actually a Kesha album name. I think it's her last one with Dr. Luke before she goes independent. Very happy for her.
Yeah.
So it was very disappointing, which after all of this, after this has become very known that Dr. Luke
Hmm.
is not a good person. I think even Lady Gaga has like said like, yeah, I've not had good experiences with him.
Yeah.
And if she hasn't, I apologize for misrepresenting that, but I know Lady Gaga has shown support to Kesha. When 143 comes out, she debuts it with a single called Woman's World. The credits are released before the single is, and it is revealed that she is continuing to work with Dr. Luke.
Yeah.
And so then the song comes out, and it's basically like a pseudo girl power female empowerment anthem. So now I'm wondering,
Yeah.
why are you making a female empowerment anthem with a man who abuses women? And then you've made a video that is quote unquote a campy male gaze, but not the male gaze video, that is just a male gazy, like, it's a male gazy video that pokes fun at what feminism like
Yeah.
isn't.
It's awful.
It's really bad. It's really reductive.
Yeah.
It's also just like not a good song. Like I'm not
No.
the production is obviously like fine and good, but like the lyrics are so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so boring.
Hmm.
It's like it was written by artificial intelligence.
One could say.
Yeah, and the rest of the album feels like that too.
Exactly the
It
same. Yeah.
and it just proved that even though the world is changing, Katy Perry just won't, because she
Yeah.
is still stuck in like 2010, 2011, 2013, where this might have been popular at the time, but even then, I don't think back then I would have been into sexy,
I don't think so either.
confident.
That
Like,
was it, literally, it was playing in my head, and I was just about to say the same thing. Like,
I
isn't the
don't,
first words are sexy, confident, so intelligent,
she is heaven
something
sent.
heaven sent?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just really
Like,
stupid.
it's stupid.
And it's like, it's evident that she has not hit the textbooks since. And she's kind of like, and I remember like when immediately everybody panned the song, everybody's critiquing it, think
Yeah.
pieces up the wazoo, and then she like releases this video that's just like, this is all satire. I'm like, it's not satire if you actually don't understand what you're satirizing, you know?
Yeah. Like, if no
If
one
you don't,
gets it, it's not.
it's not satire. So I think the conclusion that many people have found is that just Katy Perry really was a person for the moment in time of like the
Hmm.
early 2010s, and we might not see anything useful from her again, and
Yeah.
that's fine. She can go
Hmm.
do that. She also kind of lost favor because in the LA mayor elections she like took a picture of herself voting for like Rick Caruso because quote like LA's in shambles or LA's in flames. I'm like, girl, how can you say that from your mansion and then vote for like someone who's practically a Republican?
Yeah. Like,
So, yeah.
you don't go downtown. Like,
No, I'm like, you're not going to anywhere that's like bad. And also, like, I'm like, calm down.
it's just weird.
You're,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't be crying from your like mansion in Beverly Hills, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, it's truly that she just got stuck in this out of touch mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, refuses to like learn anything new.
That's, it just seems like she has stayed in the bubble that she came into fame with.
Hmm.
And on one hand, I think in a very like Real Housewives way, she could really run with that. Be out of touch, be crazy, be weird. But
Yeah,
she wants so badly to be relatable and be like, I'm one with the people when you're like, not.
you're not at all.
You're
Yeah.
not. Because she doesn't even like process emotions in a normal way. Like, she's not writing emotional music that it's like,
No.
this is worth anything. So it's just really disappointing given how good of music she made before and how like
Hmm.
timeless that music is. And like, she's lucky she made that music because she'll be getting
Yeah.
royalties for life
Yeah.
because she'll never make that again.
And I think that's also disappointing is like knowing how set she is for the future. And like I would hope if someone is in that position, they could maybe think, maybe I'll branch out and try some different creative avenues. And she's not experimenting, she's not trying anything new, and she's just regressing into herself in trying to like force this like pop, fun, we don't really care kind of music, and it's just falling so flat.
Yes. And the person I want to present as a foil to Katy Perry who does that and does that well, Charlie XCX. Because if we
Yeah.
look at an album like Brat, it's not necessarily like we're partying because we don't care. It's just
Hmm.
kind of like we're partying because this is our way of escapism. Like,
Yeah.
Brat is an album that contextualizes so many things. Like, it's an album that talks about like the allure of the mean girl and also like
Hmm.
the the push and pull of like, I want to be a pop star but maybe I want to be a mother, but that would be like I have to sacrifice this and that, and like also like
Yeah.
generational trauma with her family. Like, it's an album that like is using the masquerade of club music to talk about these more important
Yeah.
topics. And that's something that Katie has no idea how to do because she's not thinking about these in a deep way.
Yeah. And I
So,
think that's truly it. She's not thinking. And you know what? Let's go ahead and start transitioning, I think, to our next topic, which is our recent Blue Origin flight, which it was funny. This one actually snuck up on me, and I didn't really hear too much about it until like last week. Um,
there was like an I remember, I don't know why I was on like Elle magazine's like Instagram
mhm.
page, but I remember they were like the all female space crew. And the minute I saw Lauren Sanchez, I was like, I'm very weary of this because
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone who's in cahoots with billionaires. I just don't. Never will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I saw Katy Perry, and then I saw Gail King, and then I was like, what's going on? And then I read
Yeah.
into it, and I was like, oh, they're going into space for what? Because I was just like, you're sending these people into space, and weren't there like astronauts recently that were like stuck up there?
Yes. So let's back up a second. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, what this whole situation is, Blue Origin is Jeff Bezos of Amazon.
Mm.
Not the Amazon, as in the rainforest, but Amazon, the company.
I'm so happy you clarified.
I listen, the people would get confused, and I would understand.
Oh yeah.
Um, Blue Origin is his space exploration company. I don't know, because apparently we need to have those when we can't even figure the shit out here.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, we'll get into that later. But they have been doing flights, I think, for the past few years. Like, I think Mark Hamill went up on one. There's been like random celebrities. There's like auctions that they like auction off seats on the flights. I don't know what you call them. Um, but anyway, so yesterday or today was it? Like you said, it was like Katy Perry, Gail King, and like other people went into space. And what really piqued my interest is when all of the interviews of Katy Perry started coming out before they left. Um,
Sorry. I'm just thinking about them. They're so stupid.
why don't you give the intro to that? And
Well, it's just like her again trying to intellectualize herself when she doesn't have all the information. It's okay. to not know what you're talking about. But she gives this interview where she's just like, I'm just so excited to be a part of this and like learn the STEM and the math of it all. Like, you're not doing equations on this flight, Katie. You're just sitting and flying. It's the same thing
Yeah.
as getting on an American Airlines flight. Okay, you're just happening to go into space. And then she's saying, she's like, I was like listening to like Carl Sagan's Cosmos and like trying to learn string theory. Why? Why are you
Yeah.
trying to learn string theory, girl? And then she's like all of a sudden saying, oh, what was it? Oh, and then she's saying like, I love astrophysics, I love astronomy, I love astrology, I love the stars. I think that we're all made of stardust.
You know what? I was thinking about this before we recorded, and I was like, you know what this is giving? It's giving benzos. It's giving Klonopin. Like 1950s housewives. Gotta pop a little pill to make dinner for the
Yeah.
kiddos.
Oh my god.
It's
I
it's actually every time I watch it, I'm like, this has to be a joke. And I know it's not.
no.
Because like
And
it's the most bonkers apocalyptic shit I've ever seen.
yeah, and I just don't understand why like pop stars keep wanting to like align themselves with like intellectuals in this way, or they keep trying to like reach this higher echelon of like intelligence, and I'm like, I'm not, like, nobody is saying that like being a pop star inherently makes you unintelligent, but then when you
Yeah.
try to step outside of your lane and like express
You
interest in
obviously
something,
don't know what you're talking about too.
yeah, like it kind of, you kind of shoot yourself, I don't want to say shoot yourself in the foot. I was just thinking about Megan Thee Stallion. I don't want to say that.
Oh.
Sorry, girl. I'm so sorry. You kind of get in your own way. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just, it was so bizarre and weird, especially given what the flight actually was.
Yeah. So also, clarification. This was not like some space exploration. From I think the time that they took off from Mother Earth, went up and came down, it was 11 minutes. 11 minutes. And she's
Was
sitting there talking about, I'm so excited to learn like the STEM of it all, the math of it all. In 11 minutes, you're getting a crash course? Like,
I think
what are
they
you
just
talking
went
about?
on an extended drop ride. Like, you know, at Six Flags
Yeah.
where you can ride the Superman? That's what they did. That's
They
all they
went up and they
did.
went down.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's just so odd. And I think we can go kind of into the tone deafness of it all in a second. But one other thing that's really getting me is Gail King is now coming out and defending their space ride. They're also, first of all, calling themselves astronauts.
I'm sorry.
What do you
No,
mean?
you're not. The fact that they were like, we want to learn the STEM of it all you guys did was get in your navy blue Fashion Nova spacesuits, all looking snatched for whatever reason. I
You
think
know
one of
what?
the first things
They did
they
look
look
good.
they look snatched. But one of the first things Katie said was like, we're gonna put the ass in astronaut. I'm like, okay,
Okay,
all
babe.
right.
Yeah.
But then it's a totally like like the craft, the aircraft spacecraft was flying itself. They didn't do anything.
No, no,
They're
they
not
literally
manning
just sat
anything.
there. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so Gail King has basically been doing a lot of interviews and being like, I don't understand why there's such a blowback. Like, every time someone goes to space, you're learning new things, you're gathering new information. I'm like, Gail, are you gathering the information? Are you, testing different things? I'm not going to pretend I know anything about space because I don't. I have an MFA. Um, but like, Gail, come on. And then she was also just like, this is inspiring men, women, and boys to like, if they see us do this, they can do anything. I'm like,
Men,
girl,
women, and boys.
yeah, she did clarify that. She's like, not even just like, I mean, sorry, I misspoke. She was talking about women and like little girls, and then she was like, also boys. um,
Okay.
I was like, okay, Gail. But so she's like basically like, you're always learning something when we're going up there, so like it's never just like a waste. And then she ends it by going like, have you been to space? Like you like go to space and then talk like about what this was. I'm like, hey Gail, no, we're not going to space. Most of us can't afford to go to the doctor.
What do you mean? Have you should
She
go to
she
space and talk?
literally poses it as like, have you been to space? As in like that's like, you know what, Gail, you're right. I haven't been to space. I'll defer to you.
What?
It's the weirdest, most tone deaf thing. And so obviously this kind of falls under conversation like the current climate that we're in, and why the fuck are we going to space when
Mm-hmm.
we have like a serious homelessness problem? Like we don't have healthcare, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's wars all down here, and we're just going to space for 11 minutes and framing is like, go girls, look at us go.
Especially for
And
like, I don't. Do you know how much it cost for them to go up there?
so I did look this up before, and it's not publicly released. Two things
Mm.
though indicate it's like in the millions. There's one, in order to like reserve a seat, there's a $150,000 non-refundable deposit you have to put down even to like maybe have the opportunity to get on this little space ride. Um, but I think it was one of the first tickets. It was auctioned off and it sold for $28 million.
Ugh, okay.
Think of what you could do with $28 million, and you spent that money to go up and down.
You know how many times you could go to Disneyland to do the same thing?
You
Like, I
could live
don't.
there for like 10 years and probably not even scratch the surface. I
That's my thing,
digress.
especially all these people who are like based in LA where like there were just like terrible fires that like devastated entire
Yep.
neighborhoods. You didn't want to put that money towards your community.
No. And so I think a lot of the conversation too, I did see a lot of memes before they even went up of like, this is going to be exactly like the submarine, the Titanic submarine that imploded a
Mm-hmm.
few years ago, and how everyone was basically like, well, what are you doing there? Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, it's so tone deaf. Even I don't know if you've seen the videos of them like in space, but there's one of Katy Perry where she has a daisy. Okay, it's like a
She's like,
little
"Hi,
tiny
Daisy."
baby daisy and is like staring into the camera and smiling and just like floating away.
I think that Katy Perry's role now is just to become everybody's sleep paralysis demon. Like that's all
She's
she's gonna be
it's
now.
so scary. It's so scary. And then obviously they come down. Katy Perry leaves the pod, the hatch, whatever it's
Mm.
called, kisses the ground because, that's what a normal person does. And I think her first part, she's like, I'm feeling so connected to love. Love is all we need. That's the foundation of it all. Girl, you went to space for 11 minutes, you came back down. What are you talking about? All we need is love. This isn't the 60s. We can't survive on love anymore, babes. You
No.
can in your
And
little
also,
mansion.
like, to really talk about what love means, if we're going to get into that, love is inconvenience. Love is empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Love is community, and love is care. And none of those things were enacted at any point during this trip.
Yeah.
So
It's just
I'm.
so odd.
And also for them to. You. Was it worth the amount of carbon emissions that were needed to push them up there for 11 minutes when we're actively in a climate crisis? Do none of them care?
Gail King thinks so. And I think she would say that we're just jealous.
I don't know what happens when people get money and they just like forget all common sense.
Yeah. It's it's insane. It's crazy. It's wild that they would think this would be received in any other light.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we talk about this a lot, but like, how do all these decisions get past so many people and not one person's like, hey, maybe this is like not a good idea. Maybe it's not a good look.
Because it's just rich people in the room who are just an echo chamber of like, yeah, why not? Because they don't think about the
Yeah.
masses, they don't think about the public.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. So if Katy Perry wasn't on everyone's shit list before, she sure is now. You think we're ever gonna take you serious after you just said, I'm excited to learn the stem of it all? Then go to
Do-
college. I don't know. Go get a bachelor's degree. Go get an associate's.
oh, did you
She
see
won't.
that Wendy's tweeted, "Can we send her back?"
I did, and I didn't know that Wendy's had beef with Katy Perry. But it's apparently like a long-standing thing. Like they've always done that. And
Really?
then yes, I did see another post that Kesha went to get Wendy's and took a picture, and then Wendy's retweeted it. I'm like, listen, that little
Yeah.
redhead knows where he belongs.
Yes. Oh my god. It's just It's such a crazy downfall of hers, and I don't know if she'll ever come back from it. I think she's just going to be rich and aloof for the rest of her life.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Our
Yeah.
brave women went up and they came back down. And you know what? They may keep going down.
Mm. Man. But speaking of rich people, I feel like we got to end on a high note. Let's talk the Valley.
Let's get into it. So, as you guys know, we are huge VPR stands. And obviously, now that we've concluded that, we've moved on to the Valley, where they've really grown up and, become the adults that they really need to be for themselves and for their children. So,
Uh huh.
we open, and it's in the summer. I think we probably should first start with Brittany and Jax,
Oh my
um,
god.
where it has been
They've been,
9 months.
yeah,
They've been separated. They've been separated for 9 months.
yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that's going to happen later on the season still hasn't happened. But like
Mm
one of the main plot points for this episode is that while they were separated, they came to the understanding that they could like date and see other people. Brittany was hooking up with Jax's quote unquote friend. Because I don't actually think that they were like friends. I think
hmm. Mm hmm.
Jax just took that as it. Julian, which is also, isn't that the one that Lala hooks up
Yes.
with at some point in the season? Okay, I thought so. So he goes through her iPad and finds messages of between Brittany and Julian where there was like a video sent between them, and Jax flips the fuck out, which of course he does.
Mm
And I
hmm.
think this is the point where he like flips a table
Mm
and
hmm.
like it hits Brittany on her knee and it like immediately swells up, starts bruising, and like
Mm
she's
hmm.
screaming, and he's just like, I think she even said like she had never seen him in that type of way, which is crazy
Mm hmm.
thinking about how bad we've seen Jax Taylor.
Yeah. And for context, I, with some friends, went to a live event with Jax and Schwartz, maybe like a month or two ago. And during that Q&A, Jax admitted that it's sort of like a to prepare us for the Valley season 2 by saying like this season is the worst we will see him, which I think is saying something because I thought I
Yeah.
had seen the worst of Jax during Vanderpump
Mm,
Rules, but maybe I have to think again. But I just could not believe just like the reaction to that because like yeah, sure. Actually, no, I'm not gonna say yeah, sure, because I'm not justifying any of this because they were separated. They had an agreement
mm,
that they could see other people. There were no designations on like not talking to people that they were friends with because
mm,
I'm assuming Julian's a mutual friend. Like they both are
yeah.
friends with him. And for him to overreact when like Brittany said like that he's actively been with other girls since and
Yeah.
that like they've been in the home, like I don't think he has a leg to
Hmm.
stand on, and I'm not going to endorse that behavior. I'm not going to endorse flipping a table. I'm not going to endorse physical outbursts because I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you're in your 40s. Control your emotions.
Yeah. And I think that's even something that Jesse, which we'll talk about Jesse,
Mm.
but like when Jesse and Jax are talking, and Jesse's like, you have no emotional regulation.
Mhm.
And that is terrifying
Mhm.
for someone who's like 45, a good sized man with a
Mhm.
wife and a kid at home. Like,
Mhm.
that's terrifying.
Yeah. And this is all framed by the recent news that hasn't been revealed on the show yet, but was revealed
Hmm.
in like a People interview that Jax admitted that he's been battling like a 20-year-old coke addiction, which
Hmm.
I think we all guessed, but
Yeah.
now it's been confirmed. So this is also a man in active addiction. Um,
Addiction plus bipolar, undiagnosed bipolar.
yeah. So it's a very scary situation overall.
Hmm.
Um, Especially for Brittany, but at the same time, Brittany knows this information and
Hmm.
still like actively had a kid with him, wanted to
Hmm.
have another kid with him, and like it's just like putting you and that kid in harm's way. And so I'm a little
Yeah.
confused as to that. I'm interested to see how it plays out in this season. But it's just a horrible situation overall, and it's just like
Yeah.
really devastating.
Yeah. In which I'm glad that she's finally sticking up, putting her foot down because she let that man walk all over her. Like,
even from the
from the moment they
beginning.
met.
Yeah, because I just saw a clip from like early on, like she just like drove across the country to like live with him, and him straight up looking at her and being like, I don't believe in marriage. I don't know why you have to have a piece of paper to like say that you love someone. And I'm like, girl,
Don't forget that, like, while she was actively driving across the country, he was saying she's not my girlfriend and trying to like hit on Lala because she had
mm-hmm,
just started.
mm-hmm, yeah,
And then he actively cheats on her, gets into the whole situation with Faith,
mm-hmm,
like multiple times.
yeah.
And
He has shown her who he was for
yeah.
years. She ignored it, and like
Hmm.
that's not to dismiss anything she's going through, but she did ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's tough. I'm curious to see how the rest of the season shakes out. I think it's gonna get very bad, very
Yeah.
ugly.
Oh yeah.
Um, does make good TV though,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately it does.
But you know what? Let's talk about another trash man. And another man who made his wife and child move out of the house and get their own places. Because that's what a man does, apparently. Jesse. I don't know his last name.
I think it's Jesse Lolly or something.
Okay, whatever. So obviously last season, Jesse and Michelle were starting to go through a divorce. Like Jesse was
Yeah.
trying to keep them together because I don't know why, because
Because
he
he
obviously
wanted to be
hated her.
married.
Yeah, he wanted to say that he was married. So it's revealed like they do like have a divorce or they're going through an active divorce. She's moved out. She has a new partner. He also has a girlfriend, quote unquote. Because not much is revealed about her except that she's apparently like lives in OC. And
Mm-hmm.
I think he said, which is really weird, he was like, she holds a mirror up to me and doesn't let me get away with my shit. And I'm like, did Michelle?
Yeah, she
Because she
literally
seemed to
left
call you
you.
out and just say that she does not like how you're acting.
Yeah.
Like,
Weird.
so it's just very weird. And I was gonna jump around to the last bit, like what happens in like the last part of the episode. I didn't know if you had anything else before we got there.
No.
Okay,
Let's talk
so
about the last bit.
at the end of the episode, Brittany's hosting a party and everyone's there. And Michelle had already talked about like co-parenting between them is very difficult. Like they're arguing at every point.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jesse brings it upon himself to talk about their daughter's schooling and, floats the idea that, he might move to like Orange County and, maybe they should start looking for schools for their child out there in Orange County. And Michelle's like, no, like, we're not uprooting our kid and you're not enrolling her in a school away from one, the school system she's already set up in, but two, away from her mother because you're dating some woman
Mm-hmm.
in OC.
Yeah.
And they go back and forth. It gets a little bit uglier. And Michelle's like, if it comes to that and you try to do that, I will go and take you to court and fight for full custody and I will get it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I dare say that she's probably correct. You're
Yeah.
going to tell me that you're moving to OC, uprooting your kid to move in with some girlfriend you just got? No. Courts
Mm.
like aren't going to do that. And even when he's in his confessional, one of the producers asks like, "Did you like bring that up to get like maybe get a rise out of her?" And he's like, "Oh, absolutely." Like you vile, vile man.
He's childish.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing is that like when he's talking about wanting to stay married or like wanting to be a good father, it's all about like he just wants to perform these roles,
Mm-hmm.
but he's acting really childish about it.
Yeah. There's even a point where he's like, "My daughter looks just like me," and I know that just gets under Michelle's skin. I'm like, "Hey,
I'm
that's
like,
your child."
yeah, like that's your kid. Like that should not ever be the focus of what you're doing as a parent. Like
Yeah.
get real.
Yeah. And I think it just gets actively worse. I think it was in the like later this season on the Valley where he like accuses her of basically being like an escort. Um
Oh yeah, I saw that and I was like,
so I'm just like, "Hey, this is the mother of your child. I don't care if you dislike her or not."
and it's even just like because like I think it was confirmed that like she had cheated on him or something, which I think, valid to be mad about that.
Yeah.
But the way that he's taking it, like calling someone an escort, like I don't know why what does that accomplish? What does that
Because he's
do?
trying to tarnish her reputation because he doesn't like her. Because he hates her. Because she stood up for herself and did what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And this isn't saying that like Michelle's innocent. Like she did some really shitty things last season, so like
Oh,
she's
for
not,
sure.
you know, in
Mm-hmm.
the clear, but like come on.
He's just so shitty.
Yeah. Um Janet, you want to talk about Janet?
No.
I know you're
I don't like her. I don't like her. I think she's a mean girl who doesn't know how to be accountable.
yeah. And the one thing I do want to bring up that Janet did that I think is really fucked up is when she's trying to mend her relationship with Kristen. Because yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god,
yeah.
yeah.
I figured you'd forgot about that.
I did.
But she's trying to mend her relationship with Kristen, and Kristen's basically still like, I don't want anything to do with you. You guys all called me Crazy Kristen last year
Mm-hmm.
and dogged on her for an entire season. Um, as you guys may know, we we have a soft spot for Kristen.
We
Like
do.
justice for Kristen. She just
Mariposa.
she just goes about things the wrong way sometimes, but
Yeah.
usually she's correct. Um, but it's revealed that Janet went on a podcast and completely misconstrues a conversation that happened at the end of season one where what's his name? The gay man.
Oh my god. I don't
I just
know.
watched it today.
Me
Oh my
too.
God.
Oh,
Okay,
well.
anyway, the only gay man on the show.
Yeah.
He, at the end of the season, him and Kristen are kind of against Janet at this point because their argument is that she's using her pregnancy as a shield to act like a shitty person
Mm-hmm.
and then saying, hey, I'm pregnant, you can't be mean to me or like hold me accountable for my actions.
Yeah.
And either Michelle or Brittany are basically like, hey, like, just maybe be conscientious of like she's pregnant and like stress can have like adverse reactions. And in the heat of the moment, he's basically like, I don't care. Obviously, not in a malicious way, but more in a you're not going to use this as a scapegoat to not be held accountable for your actions, which is
Mm-hmm.
very clear
Mm-hmm.
as a normal person watching.
Yeah.
But Janet goes on a podcast and is talking about the situation and basically frames it as people were actively wishing for her to like miscarry and have like complications with their pregnancy.
That's
And
such a crazy accusation.
yeah, it's like not even that's not even like misconstruing what they're saying. Like you're actively taking something and placing it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And Kristen even talks about it and she talks about she's like, I have fertility issues. Like she had just suffered a miscarriage not too long ago. She would never say that, and
Yeah.
obviously that was never what the intention was. So Janet approaches Kristen and gives her a really half-assed apology. And Kristen's like, no, like you literally went on a podcast and said that I like was hoping for you to not like have a full term pregnancy. And Kristen's like, you're not even giving me like a full apology. Janet at one point's like, well, Kristen, do you have anything you want to apologize for?
I think Janet is just mean and self absorbed.
Yeah, I think so too. Actually, this is funny. I meant to look it up more and I didn't, but apparently, I don't know if it's like a rumor or something, but because I think Kristen alludes to this in season one where she's like, you're just a fan. I think the story is that Janet moved to LA with the intention of like buddying up with Sheena, which she did so that she could like get into this world.
Mm,
Um, which I think is just a funny little tidbit if true.
yeah.
But like, she's a mean girl. She likes to stir up drama and then she likes to point fingers and say that she's not to blame.
Yeah.
And
I don't like
yeah,
that.
no, I don't either.
Especially I'm like, you have a child. Deal with that.
Yeah, maybe you take care of your kid.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe just read a book instead of starting drama, okay?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that unfolds. I'm curious. And then I guess our least problematic couple for the moment is Nia and Jason.
Danny.
Um, Danny. I never
We always
remember
forget
that
his
poor
name, but
man's
it's
name.
Danny. We like Danny.
I love Danny. Yeah. So they have their three kids. They have the older boy and the twins. Um,
So
they're
much.
stressed out. They have three kids,
Mm-hmm.
understandable.
Three
Some would
kids
be
under
stressed.
like two, right?
Yeah. Three
God.
under three, I think.
Okay.
But like still. So they're stressed out and they go to like lunch or something, and they're talking about Nia discusses that she would like to have another baby and like soon. And Danny's kind of like, hey, like,
He's like,
hey,
yo.
man, I'm really struggling. And I think it is an interesting conversation because obviously, yeah, having 303 is a lot, and wanting to add one more is a
Especially
lot.
especially because from what he said, like they don't have babysitters, like they do all of this
Yeah.
themselves, which I really
Hmm.
respect.
Yeah.
But that is a lot of work.
Yeah. And then, so there's that point in which I totally understand. And then there's Nia's point where she's kind of like, for the past, like, what, 3, 4 years that we've had our children, I felt like my body is not my own. And like, and she talks about how she would kind of rather have the child now and then have, the rest of her years to kind of get her body, maybe not like back to how it used to be, but like maybe get to like somewhere where she's more comfortable with her body because she
Mm-hmm.
does have body image issues, which is common, obviously, for
Mm-hmm.
women who just have babies. So, no, it's really tough. It's a really tough conversation, but that's also caveated by the news, which is already out there, that Nia's pregnant
Yeah.
again with their fourth child. So, they succeeded.
Yeah. And I think that I'm like it's evident like that like when she first starts talking about the body things, he's like your body's great. I don't know what you're talking like
Yeah.
from and like I like he evidently loves his wife, but like
Hmm.
even objectively you could say things because like Nia's gorgeous,
Oh my
beautiful,
God, so
stunning. Every time
stunning.
I see her, like
Beautiful
she did
woman.
this like curly hairstyle and I was like, enough,
Yeah.
enough, let me
Like I can't look
live.
away from you.
God. Well, I think she was a pageant queen too.
Yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
was.
she's gorgeous. And I think he's like, I have
I'm
a
lucky to
hot
be
wife,
here.
lucky to be here, you know? But it doesn't like negate anything she's feeling about her body because like I never
Yeah.
really thought about like trying to get them all done quickly so then you could just like have one long recovery rather than
Hmm.
like recovering in between, which is usually kind of like what you
Yeah.
what is recommended. Um but yeah, I guess she wants like 4 and 4.
Yeah. Phew, and she got it.
Yeah. God.
Best of luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of where everything's left off. I think it was a good start to the season, kind of
Mhm.
setting the scene where all the couples are. Also, I think we do have a engagement coming up. Obviously with Kristen and Luke, that was teased.
Yeah.
But I feel like Jasmine, is that her name? Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I think she's gonna propose to her girlfriend, which is really exciting.
Yay.
I
I
love
like
her.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Jasmine's very
Yeah.
level-headed. I feel like
Hmm.
sometimes I like wonder why she's friends with these people.
Yeah, I'm like, you're a little too level for this.
Yeah, but you know
But
what? I love white mess, so she must like it too.
I know. Yeah, it's fun. So really excited to see how the rest of the season shakes up. I think it gets crazy. Like not even just
Mhm.
with like Jax and Brittany, but I think Nia starts having issues. I don't know if it's necessarily with Danny. I think it might be with other people in the group.
Yeah.
Um, it seems like Jesse and Michelle
Yeah.
ramp up stuff. So curious. We'll keep breaking it down, our thoughts on the season. I'm sure we'll have a
Yeah.
lot more thoughts
Oh, for sure. For
as
sure,
it
for
keeps
sure.
going.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, wow. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, short and sweet, like Sabrina Carpenter.
Short and sweet. We're at an hour.
Well, short enough and sweet enough.
Yes, you're so right.
Yeah, but you know what? As much as the Blue Origin flight was so stupid,
Hmm.
actually no, it's so stupid. I wish it didn't happen. I wish like celebrities were doing stupid things like the Imagine video again. Like this feels on par with that, but like there were no
Yeah.
carbon emissions or like billionaires involved with the Imagine video. It was just people being
Yeah.
stupid.
Be out of touch on the ground without
Yeah.
spending money.
Yeah, be out of touch for free. There's no need to go into space to be out of touch, okay?
Yeah. They don't know
Yeah,
that. They'll never learn.
they won't. But we will catch y'all next time on whatever new is happening in pop culture.
We'll be the first to update you. Maybe not the first, but we'll give our thoughts on it.
Yeah, we'll get in it
That's for
at some
sure.
point.
That's for damn sure.
All right. Well, we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.